It's Tuesday, April 13th, and the time for your Barbados Today morning news update. A number of businesses have been given the green light to open today as the island enters its second day of cleaning ash from the last volcano in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Minister of Home Affairs, Information and Public Affairs Wilfred Abrams announced last night that shops, supermarkets, bakeries, gas stations, pharmacies, and hardware stores would be allowed to reopen. Polyclinics, the airport, and the Bridgetown port will remain closed, and transport services will continue at reduced capacity. However, the minister said those plans were subject to change depending on the prevalence of ash from the volcano.
This is not a one-day thing. We are going to have to clean a lot of the government facilities to try to get as much business open back as possible. We don't want to put people into situations where it's hazardous to their health. So we have to clean to a certain standard before we can invite people back into the building. And this is once again conditional on exactly where it is that you work and whether it's air conditioned or not. We're looking to open departments that serve the public on Wednesday and all other departments on Thursday. So tomorrow it is essential services, as well as what I listed: shops, supermarkets, bakeries, hardware store, pharmacies. Practically, if you are, let me not say that, shops, supermarkets, bakeries, hardware stores, and pharmacies. On Wednesday, we are trying as best we can to get the sectors of the public service that serve the public open on Wednesday, and all other departments we're aiming to be open on Thursday. There is a caveat. This is subject to conditions at any given time. Remember, we get 90 minutes warning. So while we may have indicated that things should open or things are allowed to open, when we get that warning, we will try to advise you as early as possible as to what it is looking like. So this is what we are aiming at.
Meantime, Director of the University of the West Indies Seismic Research Center, Professor Richard Robertson, said residents may experience reduced ashfall in the coming days.
This period could vary from a few weeks to a few months to as long as up to a year, given past experience. So in terms of what you'd expect in the coming weeks, it's possible in this week, given that it seems to be trending towards smaller, shorter, less vigorous plumes, that you may not have periods of so much ash. But that is not to say that in the coming weeks, because it's continuing its explosive eruptive activity, that you would not again have periods where you have ash fall. They may or may not be as intense as you had them in the past. Hopefully, for your sake, for all our sakes, this volcano goes back to sleep as quickly as possible. But there's no indication currently that it is heading in that direction. It seems to us that it will continue with this episodic behavior, that we may enter a period of longer quiet, but that at some point it's going to pick up again, and then it's gonna pick up such that you have these very high altitude plumes that could generate ash. So in closing, I'll leave you with the thought, which I know you would not like to hear, but it's a reality, that as long as Las Soufrières is erupting, Barbadians have to expect that at some point in time, at some times during the explosive eruptive periods, that you will have ash.
The uncertainty surrounding eruptions at the La Soufrière volcano is having an impact on businesses in Barbados. The vast majority of non-essential enterprises remain closed for a second day today as residents continue cleaning the volcanic ash. President of the Barbados Private Sector Association, Edward Clark, said, given the unpredictability, businesses must remain open, given that some only recently reopened their doors to the public.
The economy is an open economy. We have to make sure that businesses remain open during this crisis. We have to ensure that people can earn a living, honest living, and get back the economy and the engine working. I don't see this as a shutdown period for Barbados. We partially shut down today because of the necessity of cleanup. But we will have to find ways of continuing business operations on a daily basis. This is not something that we can just shut down the island at this time because of this volcanic ash. We have to find we have been discussing ways how we can operate. So I don't see it as another major cure support from the government side, unless something severe happens on a continuous basis. I see government's role here as facilitating facilitating what needs to be done to keep the economic engine of the country working, and I would expect that what they will continue to do. We have to ensure on our business side that we take the necessary precautions, protect our employees, protect our clients, our clientele.
Some farmers are beginning to see the impact of the ashfall on their produce and are hoping that the long-term effects will not be significant. Farmer Anselm Green, who is part of the Spring Hall Land Lease Project, said that the ashfall has created havoc on his farm.
It has been affecting me, and not only me, but all the other farmers within the Spring Hall Land Lease Project. You can say that it's catastrophic because, I mean, all the plants are covered with ash, and plants cannot really produce with that kind of ash on them because you need the leaves to be free of that kind of dust for photosynthesis to take place, for the plants to be able to make food, to be able to produce the fruits in any meaningful way.
Dairy farm owner Annette Beckett said she has had to wash the exterior of costly machinery several times to avoid dust from contaminating the milk or damaging the critical equipment.
The difficulty that we have, say where you are now, you're in the milking room, where the cows get milk and the milk comes directly into here. As you can see, the door has fly thing to stop the flies and water from coming in, but it doesn't stop the dust. So the cooler has to be washed. The poor cooler must be wondering what happened to it. So this will be the third time today that it can wash them. Okay. Because the difficulty is that if we go over here, the difficulty is that when Pine Hill Dairy comes, this will be off and they connect to there. So any dust that is around here could, when the guy is putting on, could seep into the milk. So it must be dust free.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To news from our regional neighbors now, the COVID-19 pandemic continues to take its toll on Guyana, with over 24 deaths recorded in the month of April alone. Gordon Mosley of News Source Guyana tells us more.
The month of April has not reached its midway point as yet, but Guyana has already recorded 940 new coronavirus cases and 24 deaths in the month so far. In the past 2 days alone, 5 deaths were recorded. In its latest report today, the Health Ministry revealed 40 new cases of COVID-19 and 2 new deaths in the past 24 hours. The number of active cases currently stands at 1,164, with most of those persons in home isolation. There are also 17 persons in the intensive care unit. The rapid increase in new cases is coming at a time when the Health Ministry is pleading with persons to get vaccinated.
And finally, an ease in COVID-19 rules in the UK sees pub gardens, shops and hairdressers reopen in England for the first time in months. More from Reuters TV.
3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, take your seats. Have your first drinks. Please come down.
Brits rejoiced on Monday as pubs reopened for the first time in months, racing to grab a drink as the clock struck midnight.
Well, after 14 months of not going anywhere except funerals, it's a great plus.
Hairdressers, gyms, and other shops are also set to reopen Monday. For now, pubs and restaurants will be restricted to serving outdoors, as dine-in services won't resume until May 17th at the earliest. Non-essential stores like home and fashion chains will reopen in Wales as well as England, although residents of Scotland will need to wait another 2 weeks. Hundreds of thousands of businesses have been shut since early January, when England entered a third national lockdown to curb a more highly contagious local variant of the coronavirus. A speedy vaccination campaign has cut COVID-19 cases by some 90% since peaking in January, and COVID-19 deaths by 95%. That progress will allow the staged easing of lockdown to proceed in what British Prime Minister Boris Johnson called a major step towards freedom.
That's news. But for the very latest, visit us at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.